Community Vlogmas, December 11th, 2019. And our question is, what are 2 turning points in your life? Well, I struggled with a lot of these because all kinds of things popped into my head. This one I didn't have to struggle. I actually think in other forums, if not here, I probably have shared these 2 turning points. I guess I've always understood that my life was totally different after these than it was before. The first was in the first circle that I was ever part of. It was in 1970 or 71. I had come out of a very abusive first marriage, spent a long time in the hospital to recover. And in the hospital, one of the physicians who was attending me told me that there was a group of women he thought would be a really good group for me to join. He thought that would be healing. And he didn't really know much about the group. He just knew that it was a good support group for women. And he introduced me to the woman who run the group. Well, the circle was a circle of goddess honoring women. Not Wiccans, earth-based mystics, no doubt about that, but we were from all kinds of faiths. I don't think at that point we'd ever even heard the word Wicca, come to think of it. And for a year, I was with that group. And you could say the turning point was my meeting them. Beautiful, wonderful women. My life was truly saved at that point in my life. Literally saved. And the healing and the love and the discovery that maybe God had female form. Oh, I knew that God could have female form, but could my God have female form? That's the first time I discovered that. You might think that would be the turning point. No, the turning point, and this is what I think I've shared before. A year into it, it was about this time of year. I remember we were outside and it was cold and there was a bonfire, and the women were a very active and emotional feminist, really riding the tide of those times. I look back on it, and they weren't too fond of men. Well, I probably needed that when I first came to the group because I had been so abused by one. But a year into it, Goddess was so present for me, and I could feel her love, and I could begin to feel her possibility. But one night we were sitting in the circle, and the women just started with denigrating men. It was, pure vitriol. It was terrible, terrible things being said about the men in their life and the men they're reading about. That men in general, men in the workplace, the whole patriarchy thing. Well, they were expressing their reality and their truth. In that moment, that's what they needed to do. But I looked to the left of me, and there was a young woman who was sitting next to me in that circle who was nursing her child. And her child was a boy. Whoa, guys. That light bulb went on in my head that this is just not right for me. I wanted to stand up and leave that circle because I couldn't deal with it. Couldn't deal with this new reality that this world that I had felt so safe within and it had healed me in so many ways was just so wrong. That's how it felt at the time. Well, I made it through the ritual, but I did take leave of that group. Some of the women stayed my friends, but spiritually I could not align my energy to theirs anymore. I didn't leave that group thinking I was in search of the male divine. I just knew there was something wrong about this tender, perfect, beautiful baby having this discussion about how horrible men were all around his little fuzzy head. It turned my life around because it's the first time I think I faced how we all limit ourselves in ways we don't acknowledge. The great turning point was, it made me stop and think of the men in my life, my grandfather and my brother, the 2 most important men in my life, and how they were divine in their own right. So not surprising. It was a very short time after that I was introduced to a woman who would teach me about the divine couple and the beauty of men and women individually and who they are when they come together. It was my first introduction to a Wiccan group. My second turning point. I don't think it's as long as a story, but he's come up before in my discussions. Someone I love dearly, my former husband, It was such a trial to live with. Some of my most beautiful and treasured memories in life, as well as some of my most horrific ones, are tied up with him. We had a history. I actually married the man twice. Yes, I did. Don't regret it. Don't regret it at all. I don't really regret anything in life. That should have been one of the questions I put in this list. Do you regret anything in life? I don't. There was a moment when I realized I was waiting to fall out of love with him so I could end the relationship. I thought that's what happened. It would get so bad. I'd watched it as relationships around me deteriorated, even past relationships of my own. I had assumed that it would get so bad, I would fall out of love, it would be done with. And then someone said to me, you don't have to stop loving someone to realize you can no longer live their life. Yep, that was pretty darned amazing advice. You know, sometimes when somebody tells you something and later on it makes a lot of sense, in that moment, I got it. I knew it the moment I heard it. And I had to have the discussion then with him, and our marriage needed to end. So 2 absolute turning points in my life. I was not the same person in more ways than I understood at the time, although I've come to understand it better in time. After both of those instances, looking to the left of me and seeing that beautiful baby nursing, and then looking into the eyes of somebody I loved so deep and thinking, I love you, but I can't live your life anymore. There we go. I wish you all mirth and reverence. Merry part.